All right, hello everyone. here's a video on exercise 1, and like exercise 0, I'm going to take a working example and explain it and perhaps modify it a little bit. So let's take a quick look at the instructions. Now this instructions for Lab 1, and this is about repetition. So that means what blocks can I use to do something repeatedly. And there are two types. You can repeat something for some specified number of times, or you can repeat something until some condition becomes true. So as long as the condition is not true, you keep repeating all the code inside this block. Now, there are 3 balls. Here's the yellow one. This one is going to repeat. Now, repeat what? Well, remember, these balls are moving from top to bottom. And to make any sprite move southward, what do we do? Well, if we decrease its y value, the sprite will appear to be moving to the south. If we increase the y, the sprite moves to the north. If we increase the x, the sprite moves east. If we decrease the x, the sprite moves west. So this is one way to do something over and over again. The blue ball is going to do it slightly different. It's going to repeat until it's touching the edge. So this means as long as it's not touching the edge, you want to keep decreasing the y value. And we want to do that over and over again. Now, the third way, the red ball, now I agree, this lab is probably a little too long. We're asking you to do too much in one lab, but until we improve it, this is the way it is. So here we're going to, again, repeat until some condition is true, but we're going to do another test. So we're going to repeat moving south until the y value of the ball is greater than some or less than some other value. So this is another way to do something over and over again. So let's go take a look at the code to see how we might do that. So here we have the 3 balls, and if I run it real quickly, you can see they all come down, and that's fine. Let's stop it. Now this first one, again, it's using the glide. We don't want to use glide. So I'm going to take this code out. And remember, we said from the instructions, we want to, instead of simply we want the forever, but let's go back to the instructions. For this first ball, we want to repeat something some number of times. Well, if we come back over here, if this yellow ball starts here, now note that when I put the ball there, the y value of the ball is 158. If I move the ball all the way to the top of this, well, I can't move it all the way off, but I can move it slightly off the stage. I can move it north until its center hits the top edge. And we don't really want that. We want the ball to remain in view. So as far as the ball is concerned, the top of the stage occurs when its y value is 158. So let's set the y value over here to be 158. That's where the ball is going to begin. That's the top. And we'll set the x value, which we could set it to run so it glides down this vertical line here, which would be negative 100. So let's set it to negative 100. Now, if we move the ball, well, let's see, where is the bottom of the stage? Well, the bottom of the stage is right about there. And notice when it gets to here, its y value is minus 158. So we want to move the ball downward. We want to adjust its y value some number of times. Now if we increase the y value by 5, each time we move, the ball will move 5, then move 5, then move 5, then move 5. And so we want to figure out how many times we have to move the ball 5 pixels in order for it to go from plus 158 to minus 158. Well, 158 plus 158 is 316. Maybe we can, now if we divide 316 by 5, what do we get? We get it's around 70. Let's just take a wild approximation right now. So here is our repeat block. So let's just repeat it 10 times. Now what are we going to repeat 10 times? Now we're not going to use this stuff. Let's get rid of that. What are we going to repeat? Well, we want to repeat the decrease in y. So we want to change y by, we want to reduce y. So let's take 5 off it. So I want to reduce y by 5 10 times. Let's see what happens. If I move the ball over here, just put it anywhere. If I run this script, now you can run any script just by clicking on it. And notice the ball went down 50 pixels. It moved, we changed x by 5, we decreased x by 5 10 times. So the effect was to move the ball down 10 times. So let's go put the ball back up at the top. And let's run this again. Once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 is a bit too far. That's okay. Let's do it that way. So if we put this in here, well, once we get down to the bottom, what do we have to do? We have to get back up to the top. So we want to keep repeating this guy. We want to do the repeat, and then at some point we have to put the x back at the top of the screen. So we put that right in there. So this will cause the movement downward. We can do this. Now this, we can put a comment in here. So I add a comment, move ball south. Let's do that. And then this is going to add another comment here. Move ball back to the top. And let's fix that. Okay. So now we're going to repeat this 10 times, but well, let's see what happens. Let's just run it. I'm just going to run this script. I don't want to run the other 2 balls. So I can separate them and just click on this. Now notice it's not going down far enough. So if I increase this to not 10 times, but 20 times, now maybe it might make more sense. Let's increase the amount we go down by. So now you can see he's going down a little bit further. Now if I increase the number of times I do that, change it to 25. It's getting pretty close to the bottom. Now I'm going to change it to 30. Whoops, that's too many. Change it to 30. Okay, and I'm going to have to stop it. It went off the edge. Let's restart it again. Okay, it's getting very close to the bottom. Let's stop it. Change this to 32. Let's see. Run it again. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So this is kind of trial and error, and yeah, so we figured out we wanted to move the ball 350 or 362 pixels and want to move it in increments of 10 pixels at a time. So we multiply 10 by 32 and we get 320. That's about the distance we need to move. So let's stop that. and snap this back on here. So this is one way to move an object, or one way to do repeats. You can repeat something some number of times, and you can just do it forever. Now the next ball, the blue ball, here you can see we're using a slightly different technique. We're repeating until it's touching the edge. Now where did we get that? That came from sensing, which is over here, the sensing block, and here you can see there's a block. You can check to see if it's touching the mouse pointer, the edge, the ball, or another ball. So you can check to see if a sprite is touching another sprite, if it's touching the edge of the stage, etc. Now notice the edge refers to any edge. So in this case you want to repeat, you want to keep changing y, you want to keep decreasing y by 20 until we touch the edge, which is the bottom edge. And when we do, we come down here and we go back to the top. So I'm going to add another comment in here. Whoops, stop it. You should always put comments in your code. So add a comment. So this is move ball south. In this blue block, I'm going to add a comment and say move ball to top. And line them up like so. So this is another technique for doing the same thing as you saw with the yellow ball. The third technique is this red ball. Now over here we have similar technique, but we're using this condition. Now we call this a relational condition. This is checking the relationship between the y value, or the y position of the ball, and this value minus 181, which is somewhere down in here. Now if I take the pink ball minus 181, you can see the y is 134. 181 is pretty far down. Whoops, how come I can't move it? Okay, 158. 181 is, the ball is somewhere down there. It's going off the edge, but that's okay for now. So we're constantly checking to see if the position of the ball, which is some number, up here the y position is going to be positive because it's above this line. Down here the y position is going to be negative because it's below the x-axis. And it keeps getting more and more negative until it comes down here. So as long as the x position, the y position of the ball, is still less than 181, which is right down here at the bottom, it's going to keep going south. Now, this expression returns either true or false. So this is saying, while this condition is false, keep going, keep decreasing y. Now, when you start off, the pink ball is somewhere up here, and you can see its y position is 159. Well, 159 is definitely not less than minus 181. So this condition is false when the ball begins. So it executes this block. Then it comes back and it checks it again. Now at this point, the first time through the loop, the pink ball was at 159, and we moved it down by minus 20, so it becomes 139, somewhere in here. And it checks, is 139 less than minus 181? No, it's still false, so it does it again. And it keeps doing this until the y position is no longer less than this. Is that right? Repeat until, this is a negative test. I don't like negative tests. While it's less than, I think it's better to test if it's greater than, but can we do that? Let's try it. There are three relational operators here. You can test if something's greater than, less than, or equal. Let's try this one. as long as the y position is, yeah, let's try this. Let's make this more readable. Let's create a variable called bottom. Now our bottom is going to be minus 181. That's what we defined as the bottom of the screen. So here I'm going to, here's my variable called, and I'm going to set the bottom to be minus 181. And I'm going to do that right there at the top. I only need to do that once. So I have this variable called bottom. Now I can say as long as if the bottom, okay, how can I make this easier to read? I'm going to take this. Now, you want to keep repeating as long as the y position, when the y position is less than the bottom, meaning it's down here somewhere. As long as that's not true, we keep going. I wish we could do this in a positive way. But because these numbers are going negative, it's hard to do it in a positive way. You could say while the bottom is greater than the, yeah, let's just ignore that. Okay, so this is another way. This is called the Boolean Expression. It's another way to make a test. So here you can compare two values to see if what the relationship is, and if this relationship is false, then this loop keeps going. This gives you a little more flexibility than the other two. So here we're repeating until this condition, as long as we're not touching the edge, we keep changing, we keep decreasing y. Now the yellow ball is the least flexible. This is what we call hard coding. We're only going to do this 32 times and then stop, no matter what. So it's not based on some condition, it's based on this count. So that's what this exercise is getting at, the three different ways to control the duration of a repetition or a repeat block. Okay, I'll stop it there.